In this video, we're going to be factoring out a common monomial. In the greatest common monomial factor, the monomial c x to the n is the greatest common factor of a polynomial if c is the greatest number that divides the numerical coefficient of each term and n is the smallest exponent of x among all terms of the polynomial. In 1, it says identify the greatest common factor for each group of terms. In A, we have two terms. One of them is 25x cubed y squared, and one is 5x y to the fourth. And they want to know what number divides 25 and 5. And that number is going to be 5. And then they want to know what is the smallest power of x. Well, if we look at our two terms, we have an x cubed and an x. So one factor of x is the smallest power of x. And then it asks, what is the smallest power of y? And we have a y squared and a y to the fourth. So y squared is going to be our smallest power. And now it wants us to state the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor is going to be the largest number that divides our numerical coefficients, which was 5, times the smallest power of x times the smallest power of y. So we're going to have 5x y squared. In B, we have three terms, 70a cubed b squared c squared, 49a squared b cubed, and 21a squared b squared c squared. And we need a number that divides into 70, 49, and 21. And the number that divides into all three of these is 7. And then it wants to know what is the smallest power of a. So we have a cubed, a squared, and a squared. So a squared is our smallest power of a. And then what is the smallest power of b? So we have b squared, b cubed, and b squared. So we're going to have b squared as the smallest power. And then it asks, is a factor containing c common to all terms? And because our middle term does not have a c in it, the answer is no. And now they want us to state the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor is going to be 7a squared b squared. And now we're going to look at factoring out the greatest common factor. So 2 says factor out the greatest common factor from 70a cubed b squared c squared plus 49a squared b cubed minus 21a squared b squared c squared. And they want us to state the greatest common factor. And that's the greatest common factor we found from 1b. So we can see that it's 7a squared b squared. And now we want to divide each term by the greatest common factor. So we're going to have 70a cubed b squared c squared divided by 7a squared b squared, and that's going to be equal to 70 divided by 7 is 10, a cubed divided by a squared is a, b squared divided by b squared is 1, and then we have a c squared, and then we have 49 a squared b cubed divided by 7a squared b squared, and that's equal to 49 divided by 7 is 7, a squared divided by a squared is 1, b cubed divided by b squared is b, so it's equal to 7b. For our last term, we have negative 21 a squared b squared c squared divided by 7a squared b squared, and that's equal to negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3, a squared divided by a squared is 1, b squared divided by b squared is 1, and then we have c squared. And now we want to write it in factored form, so we're going to have our greatest common factor, 7a squared b squared, times, and inside the parentheses we're going to have 10ac squared, which was our first term divided by our greatest common factor, plus 7b minus 3c squared. And now they want us to check by multiplying. So if we multiply 7a squared b squared times 10ac squared, we get 70a cubed b squared c squared plus 7 times 7 is 49, and we have a squared. Now we have b squared times b is b cubed minus, we have 7 times 3 is 21, and we have a squared, b squared, c squared. So you can see that after we factored, when we multiplied it back out, we got back to the same polynomial that we started with. In 3, it says, notice that the leading term in each expression is negative. Factor out the greatest common factor so that the leading term of the remaining factor is positive. So in A, we have negative 8x plus 24. And if we were to factor out a negative 8, it would make our leading term positive. And if I factored out a negative 8, we have negative 8x divided by negative 8 is going to give us x. And 24 divided by negative 8 is negative 3. So we can say that negative 8x plus 24 is equal to negative 8 times x minus 3. And if we multiplied this back out, we would have negative 8 times x gives us negative 8x, and negative 8 times negative 3 gives us positive 24. In B, we have negative 3 x squared plus 6x minus 3. And if we want our leading term to be positive, we're going to factor out a negative 3. And if we factor out a negative 3, then we have negative 3x squared divided by negative 3 would be x squared. 6x divided by negative 3 is negative 2x. And negative 3 divided by negative 3 is equal to 1, so plus 1. And that's our video on factoring out a common monomial.